Okay. A survival and coping mechanism of mine is exploring some of the world's most difficult truths. I don't know. It's so whether I'm scrolling through media or I'm reading something or even looking at a billboard, something or someone is trying to communicate and tell me something about what's going on in the world. And it does pretty much feel and is that deep for most of the time, which is hard because there's so many moving pieces and so many like overlapping narratives that are going on at the same time, and they're going on the same time super quick. Like you scroll past one post, you'll see something else kind of about it, but they'll have two totally different takes on it, and you won't really know who decides what's true or if it even is true what you're looking at. I don't know. And then some of the stuff you don't even know if it's just somebody whose discernment is early or someone who's just making shit up. Like, you really don't know what should be ignored. And I don't know, like, I've studied communication for a lot of years and psychology, so I kind of see a bunch of stuff going on and have a lot of mental questions that kind of pop up. And it makes me feel like a conspiracy theorist, like a lot of the time. Like if I wasn't making a video or writing an essay or making notes about it, like I wouldn't really have an outlet for my questions that I have. But there's a comic book series that I've kind of become obsessed with because it kind of soothes all of those weird questions that I have about what we're seeing online, what we're seeing anywhere. Like what is true, what isn't. There's stuff made with AI now. Shit's getting weird. Shit's getting weird, and it's kind of hard to cope when you don't really know what you're looking at. And then it's wild when you come across something like this that makes you revisit old notes from school or like try to place a theory that you learned about on to what you're looking at as like a lens to try to navigate this shit. Like it's just, I don't know, but I can't stop thinking about it. And applying a theory to this book and then basically anything I look at kind of helps me wade through it with like guardrails almost. Like it's how I'm bopping, it's how I'm grooving, it's how I'm trying to figure shit out. I have cussed a lot. As a reader, it kind of gets you thinking about mass beliefs, whether or not they're super logical or illogical. It kind of really gets me thinking about how so many people believe in a thing that it becomes its own monster. Like it becomes its own autonomous thing. It has a life of its own. And no one is really in control of it, which is kind of terrifying because it kind of, like I said, it has a life of its own and multiple things can be true at the same time. So my thought is, well, which truth is the truth if there is like an ultimate truth? And then I wonder about like what levels of thought and understanding and experience and perspectives are at play in what we as a community think is true versus like what someone from an entirely different country with an entirely different perspective could say about what the hell we got going on. I don't know. And the Department of Truth is something that explores these ideas. It kind of like operates from this understanding of, and is very explicit about like the fact that powerful people kind of bank on mass beliefs and control and constrict those mass beliefs into a story that works best for them. Like whatever entity, whatever power or powers that be really like to focus on the story that they're telling and will twist and turn things and constrict things so that people are manipulated by that story. Sometimes it's to protect them, sometimes it's to distract them. it really depends. And this story in the Department of Truth, it has two collections out. I'm filming this before the second one comes out, but I'm caught up with it. It just kind of explores all of the major American conspiracy theories throughout our history, starting from like, I want to say 1950 is where we enter the story in some of the flashbacks and everything. So whether it's passed through like word of mouth or parody or marketing or whatever, there are so many things that are being communicated to you, that are being communicated to us as people, especially if you're on the internet. And like they kind of exist in your head as if they are real things. Like a lot of people talk about like Sasquatch, for example. It's an example in this story for a little bit too, where people believe in Sasquatch so much that he is now like a cryptid. He's now like something that people are actively going out of their way to go search for because of the lore, because it's become part of like the culture almost. Like that's what people think of when they think of woods in America or backwoods. Like they think of something like that being real, coming to life. And many of these types of stories that we're told are not really challenged, and when they are challenged by someone, they kind of, the person that brings up the problem or is like ringing the bell is usually looked at like they are insane, when sometimes they're just early, or they're having a different perspective or seeing a different truth, living a different truth than the stories that are told. And these stories get retold, remixed, repackaged. Like it doesn't matter whether it is Sasquatch, whether it's Mothman, whether it kind of, whatever the hell is going on with the Denver airport, whatever's going, like whatever happened to Roanoke, like stuff like that, are all tales that we hear a lot. And then in our different cultures, like there's other mysteries that we don't know. And these ideas kind of get passed on, and sometimes they can be really harmless. Honestly, I don't think Sasquatch is harmful. Just don't be insane. But some of the other things are more sinister, kind of like seedy underbelly, Freemasonry. Remember the Denver airport. I don't know. But yeah, like are these thoughts and conspiracies like meant to be used as broader truths? Are they meant to be discussed? Are they meant to be hidden? Are they meant to be something that like drives our day-to-day life? Because that's how it feels like sometimes. And then is it meant to be controlled? Who is that authority on that? So that's kind of what this explores. It jumps around to different major events. One of the biggest ones that it opens up with is the assassination of former President John F. Kennedy, and the arrest of Lee Harvey Oswald, who admitted to the assassination. So in a lot of American history books, like that's all I learned. Like he literally, civil rights was 2 paragraphs and Lee Harvey Oswald was like 2 sentences. So it doesn't really go into anything that kind of brings us up to speed for what is happening, other than, okay, in this universe, now Lee Harvey Oswald isn't dead, but he is to the American public as far as we know, and he gets taken into this underworld, almost this like hidden government entity called the Department of Truth. And at the time, he's only 24 years old. When we see him in the story, he is not 24 years old. I don't want to ruin like everything, but this is like the first volume that I'm explaining. and only like a fraction of the story, because we're not even seeing the story through Lee Harvey Oswald's eyes or through a perspective of him, really. It's through a new recruit that gets recruited for something that his child mind created. And it kind of follows whether or not these people in the department are true American assets, or whether they are perpetuating a lot of the same kind of like, not really mind control, because it's not necessarily trying to get the American people to do anything specific. It's really about the stories that come up in American culture and what creatures, what phenomena like end up being born from that, and how scary some of those things are, how real they can become, and like what it means to tell these stories. Are these stories told to protect, or are they told to distract? If they're being told to protect, who are they protecting and why? I don't know. But hey, I am just someone who likes to read, who likes to read comics, who is a semiotics nerd, who can see the levels of communication that are kind of happening, and really likes to explore stories and theories and whatever that kind of get my mind on task but off task at the same time, because I get to think about the what ifs under the guardrails of like, well, this is what this theory says, so let me look at it, let me figure it out. Also, these aren't actually, you know what, I'm not gonna have that argument. Maybe comics are just little picture books for children and they don't have anything bigger to say. Whatever. I don't know. I'll see you next time when I've got another thing to yap about. You be safe. Take care of yourself. I'll talk to you later. I can't do outros. How do you naturally do an outro? Somebody explain it to me. Give me your notes. Give me your notes.